Deep within the Kalahari Desert, where the sun scorches the earth and water becomes more precious than gold, lies evidence of humanity's most ancient artistic awakening. While our ancestors in Europe were still struggling with basic survival, the San Bushmen were creating masterpieces that would make modern artists weep with envy. But here's what will shatter everything you thought you knew about human civilization. These remarkable people didn't just create art 70,000 years ago. They were painting creatures that had been extinct for over 250 million years. How is this possible? What ancient knowledge did they possess that we've completely lost? And why are modern scientists only now beginning to understand the true depth of their mysterious capabilities? The San Bushmen represent one of the most extraordinary paradoxes in human history. Ethnographic records reveal they are direct descendants of the first modern humans, carrying genetic markers that stretch back to the very dawn of our species. Yet their survival adaptation data indicates they've developed abilities that would seem impossible to modern civilization. These people can track a wounded animal across miles of desert sand, reading stories in footprints that most of us couldn't even see. They can survive in conditions that would kill a trained survivalist within days. And most mysteriously of all, they've been creating art that reveals secrets about our planet's ancient past that paleontologists are only now discovering. What happens when we encounter a culture that has remained virtually unchanged for millennia? Could their ancient practices hold the key to understanding not just human survival, but human consciousness itself? The deeper we dig into San Bushman culture, the more questions arise about what we've lost in our rush toward modernity. Consider this. While European cave painters were creating their first crude drawings, the San were already masters of sophisticated artistic techniques. Their rock paintings demonstrate an understanding of color theory, composition, and symbolic representation that rivals any art school curriculum. But these weren't just decorative pieces. They were complex spiritual documents, survival manuals, and historical records all rolled into one. The San used ground-up stones mixed with eland blood and fat to create pigments that have withstood thousands of years of weathering. This isn't just impressive, it's scientifically impossible according to what we know about organic preservation. Yet their paintings remain as vivid today as when they were first created. What did they know about chemical preservation that we don't? Even more mysteriously, their artwork reveals knowledge that seems to transcend normal human experience. Recent paleontological analysis has identified San rock art depicting descendants, massive extinct creatures that roamed the earth over 250 million years ago. These paintings predate the official scientific discovery of these creatures by decades. The San painted them with anatomical accuracy that suggests direct observation, yet these animals went extinct long before the first humans existed. How did they know what these creatures looked like? Indigenous oral traditions speak of enormous brutes that once roamed the land, but the level of detail in their paintings suggests something far more profound than folklore. Could the San have developed some form of genetic memory, accessing knowledge buried deep within human DNA? Or did they possess archaeological skills that allowed them to reconstruct entire creatures from fossil fragments? the mystery deepens when we examine their spiritual practices. San culture revolves around the trance dance, a ritual that ethnographic evidence suggests can induce altered states of consciousness lasting for hours. During these trances, practitioners report communicating with ancestors, traveling through time, and accessing knowledge that seems impossible to obtain through normal means. Anthropological studies have documented healers accurately diagnosing illnesses they've never encountered, predicting weather patterns weeks in advance, and locating water sources in seemingly barren desert. But here's where it gets truly extraordinary. The San don't just survive in the Kalahari, they thrive. Their survival adaptation mechanisms are so sophisticated that they've developed what can only be described as a symbiotic relationship with one of the world's harshest environments. They can extract water from plants that appear completely dry, track animals across terrain that shows no visible signs of passage, and navigate vast distances using star patterns and landscape features that would confuse modern GPS systems. Their hunting techniques represent the pinnacle of human adaptation. Using bows and arrows tipped with poison, extracted from beetles, plants, and even snake venom, they can bring down animals many times their size. But this isn't crude poisoning, it's sophisticated biochemistry. The San understand exactly which toxins to use for different prey, how to process them for maximum effectiveness, and how to ensure the meat remains safe for consumption. They've developed antidotes for accidental poisoning, mastered the art of slow-acting neurotoxins, and created delivery systems that would impress modern military engineers. What's most remarkable is their tracking ability. San hunters can follow an animal for days across shifting sand, reading a story in disturbed earth that reveals not just where the animal went, but what it was thinking, whether it was injured, and exactly when it will collapse from their poison. They can determine from a single footprint whether an animal is pregnant, sick, or traveling with young. This isn't just skill, it's a form of consciousness that most humans have completely lost. Cultural extinction probability models suggest that every day we delay in documenting San knowledge, we lose survival information that took tens of thousands of years to develop. These people have lived through ice ages, climate changes, and environmental catastrophes that would have wiped out most human populations. Yet they've not just survived, they've maintained their cultural identity, their spiritual practices, and their connection to the natural world. Their social structure reveals equally mysterious elements. San communities operate without formal hierarchy, making decisions through consensus that can take days to reach. Yet they coordinate complex hunts, manage resource distribution across vast territories, and maintain social cohesion across scattered groups with precision that would challenge modern organizational theorists. They've developed conflict resolution mechanisms that prevent violence while ensuring fair distribution of resources. How did they create social systems that work better than most modern governments? The role of women in San society provides another layer of mystery. While men handle the hunting, women are responsible for gathering plant foods that actually comprise 75% of the community's nutrition. But these aren't just foraging trips. They're complex botanical expeditions that require encyclopedic knowledge of plant species. seasonal variations, and processing techniques, San women can identify over 100 edible plant species, understand their nutritional properties, know when and how to harvest them, and transform potentially toxic plants into safe foods. This knowledge extends to medicine as well. San healers use plant combinations that modern pharmacology is only beginning to understand. They've developed treatments for everything from snake bites to psychological disorders, using botanical knowledge that represents thousands of years of careful observation and experimentation. Some of their medical practices are so effective that modern researchers are studying them for potential pharmaceutical applications. But perhaps the most mysterious aspect of San culture is their relationship with time itself. While most human societies are obsessed with measuring and controlling time, the San seem to exist outside its normal constraints. They can predict seasonal changes with uncanny accuracy, know exactly when animals will migrate, and understand natural cycles that modern science struggles to quantify. Their entire worldview is built around rhythms and patterns that most humans can no longer perceive. Their spiritual practices reveal this time-transcendent consciousness most clearly. During trance dances, San shamans report traveling to other dimensions, communicating with ancestors, and accessing knowledge from both the past and future. While skeptics might dismiss this as hallucination, the practical results are undeniable. These shamans can locate water sources that shouldn't exist, predict weather patterns that meteorologists miss, and diagnose illnesses before symptoms appear. The San concept of the rain animal provides a perfect example of their mysterious knowledge. According to their beliefs, certain animals, usually depicted as hippopotamus or antelope-like creatures, control rainfall. During drought, shamans enter trances to hunt these spirit animals, killing them so their blood and milk can become rain. To outsiders, this sounds like primitive superstition, but ethnographic records show that San rain ceremonies have a success rate that statistically shouldn't be possible. Could they have developed an understanding of atmospheric patterns and weather systems that we've dismissed as mythology? Their oral traditions speak of complex relationships between animal behavior, celestial movements, and weather patterns that modern meteorology is only beginning to appreciate. They've been predicting El Niño effects, understanding monsoon patterns, and tracking climate cycles for millennia without any scientific instruments. The mystery of San artistic techniques adds another layer to their enigma. They created paints that have lasted for tens of thousands of years using only natural materials. They developed brushes from animal hair and feathers that allowed for incredible detail and precision. They understood color theory, composition, and perspective in ways that wouldn't be formally codified in European art for thousands of years. But their art wasn't just aesthetically sophisticated, it was functionally brilliant. Each painting served multiple purposes: historical record, spiritual document, survival manual, and teaching tool. They encoded information about animal behavior, seasonal patterns, water sources, and territorial boundaries in symbolic forms that could be read by future generations. A single painting might contain months of survival information compressed into a visual code that could be instantly understood by anyone who knew how to read it. Their most mysterious artistic achievement is the way they depicted extinct creatures with such accuracy. Recent paleontological discoveries have confirmed that sand rock paintings show anatomical details of descendants that weren't known to science until recently. These weren't vague representations. They were precise depictions that could only have come from direct observation or incredibly sophisticated reconstruction from fossil evidence. The implications are staggering. If the San were capable of paleontological reconstruction 70,000 years ago, what else might they have known about our planet's history? Their oral traditions speak of vast climate changes, geological events, and evolutionary processes that align remarkably well with modern scientific understanding. Could they have developed a form of geological consciousness that allowed them to read the Earth's history in ways we're only beginning to appreciate? Their understanding of human genetics provides another mystery. San languages contain some of the oldest known linguistic structures, with click consonants that may represent the original human speech patterns. Genetic analysis suggests they carry DNA markers that could unlock secrets about human evolution, migration patterns, and adaptation mechanisms. They've maintained genetic diversity that most human populations have lost, possibly retaining biological capabilities that could be crucial for future human survival. The San approach to education reveals their sophisticated understanding of human consciousness. They don't teach through formal instruction, but through immersive experience that engages all the senses. Children learn tracking by following adults on hunts, absorbing information through observation, participation, and intuitive understanding. They develop abilities that seem supernatural to outside observers, but are actually the result of educational methods that fully engage human potential. Their language learning techniques are equally mysterious. San children acquire multiple languages simultaneously, often mastering 5 or 6 different click languages before adulthood. They can communicate across vast distances using sound patterns that carry for miles, coordinate complex activities using subtle vocal cues, and encode sophisticated information in languages that most linguists struggle to understand. But perhaps the most profound mystery is how they've maintained their cultural identity despite thousands of years of external pressure. They've survived colonization, forced relocation, cultural suppression, and systematic attempts to destroy their way of life. Yet they've retained their essential practices, their spiritual beliefs, and their connection to the natural world. How did they develop cultural preservation mechanisms that work better than any modern conservation effort? The answer might lie in their understanding of consciousness itself. San's spiritual practices seem designed to maintain what we might call ecological consciousness, an awareness of the interconnectedness of all life that keeps them aligned with natural systems. They don't see themselves as separate from nature, but as integral parts of a larger living system. This perspective has allowed them to adapt to environmental changes while maintaining their cultural core. Their survival secrets extend far beyond practical techniques. They've developed psychological mechanisms that prevent the kind of environmental despair that plagues modern societies. They maintain hope, purpose, and meaning even in the harshest conditions, because their worldview integrates human consciousness with natural processes. They understand that human survival depends not just on physical adaptation, but on maintaining spiritual connection to the life systems that sustain us. Modern survival adaptation research suggests that the San have developed capabilities that most humans have lost. They can regulate body temperature through mental techniques, survive on minimal water by maximizing metabolic efficiency, and maintain physical strength and endurance well into advanced age. They've mastered stress management techniques that prevent the kind of physiological breakdown that kills most people in survival situations. Their approach to food reveals another layer of their mysterious knowledge. They can identify nutritional deficiencies by observing subtle changes in behavior, appetite, and energy levels. They know which food combinations provide optimal nutrition, which plants enhance the absorption of nutrients from meat, and how to process foods to maximize their nutritional value. They've developed a form of intuitive nutrition that keeps them healthy on a diet that would be considered inadequate by modern standards. But the most extraordinary aspect of San's survival ability is their relationship with death itself. They don't fear death in the way most humans do, because they understand it as part of natural cycles. This psychological adaptation allows them to take risks that would paralyze most people, make decisions based on long-term consequences rather than immediate fears, and maintain calm in situations that would induce panic in others. Their healing practices provide the final piece of the puzzle. San healers can induce states of consciousness that seem to accelerate natural healing processes. They use combinations of plants, minerals, and energy work that produce results that medical science struggles to explain. They understand the relationship between consciousness and physical health in ways that modern medicine is only beginning to explore. The San healing dance represents the pinnacle of their mysterious abilities. During these rituals, healers enter trances that last for hours, channeling what they describe as cosmic energy to heal physical ailments, psychological trauma, and spiritual imbalances. Ethnographic documentation shows success rates that shouldn't be possible according to conventional medical understanding. What emerges from studying the San is a picture of human potential that challenges everything we think we know about consciousness, survival, and cultural evolution. These people have maintained abilities that most humans have lost while developing knowledge systems that integrate practical survival skills with profound spiritual understanding. The tragedy is that we're losing this knowledge at an accelerating rate. Every day that passes without documenting San wisdom represents the loss of survival information that could be crucial for humanity's future. As climate change, environmental degradation, and social collapse threaten modern civilization, the San represent a living library of adaptive strategies that could help us navigate the challenges ahead. Their rock art serves as both historical document and warning. These paintings show us what humans are capable of when we maintain our connection to natural systems. They reveal knowledge that we've forgotten, abilities that we've lost, and wisdom that we desperately need to recover. The San Bushmen didn't just create art 70,000 years ago. They created a blueprint for human survival that we're only beginning to understand. Their mysterious abilities aren't supernatural. They're the natural result of human consciousness operating at its full potential. They show us what we could become if we remembered how to listen to the earth, how to read the signs of nature, and how to maintain our spiritual connection to the web of life that sustains us all. In a world facing unprecedented challenges, the San offer hope. They prove that humans can survive and thrive in the harshest conditions while maintaining their humanity, their culture, and their spiritual connection to the natural world. Their ancient art doesn't just show us where we came from, it shows us where we need to go. The question isn't whether we can learn from the San Bushmen. The question is whether we'll choose to learn before it's too late. The desert holds many secrets, but perhaps none more important than this. The San Bushmen have preserved the key to human survival, encoded in art that has waited 70,000 years for us to understand its true meaning. In their paintings, their practices, and their profound connection to the natural world, we find not just the story of humanity's past, but the blueprint for our future.